Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Wallingford Planning and Zoning Commission to order. It's our Monday, July 14th, 2025 meeting. Would all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And at this time, I'd like to introduce the members of the commission that are here this evening. To my immediate right is James Fitzsimmons, a commission member. Next to Jim is Brian Rivard, who's a alternate on the commission, and in Jeff Cohan's absence this evening, he'll be voting in Mr. Cohan's place. To my immediate left is J.P. Vanoit, who's the vice chairperson of the commission. Next to J.P. is Steve Allenson, who is our recording secretary, our secretary rather. Next to Steve is David Parent, an alternate on the commission, and Joseph Sanders, also an alternate on the commission. At our lower table to the left is Cheryl Ann Tubby, our recording secretary, and next to Cheryl Ann is Kevin Pagini, our town planner. I'm Jim Seichter, the chairperson of the commission. First order of business is consideration of approval of the minutes of our June 9th, 2025 meeting. Any commission members with any adjustments, corrections, comments on the minutes before I ask for a motion for approval? And at this point in time, I've asked for a motion to approve the minutes.
Oh, you were both gone. That's right. I'd make a motion to accept the minutes from our last meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? And any abstentions?
Abstain.
Thank you. All right, at this point in time, we'll come to our first item on the agenda, which is a continuation of a public hearing. It's a special permit, Midwood Management Corp. 1000, 1020, 1030, 1044, and 1080 Barnes Road. Mr. Allenson, if you would please note all correspondence for the record, as we already at the last meeting read the legal notice.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a memorandum to Kevin Pagini, Town Planner, from Aaron O'Hare, Environmental Planner, dated May 13th, 2025. We have a memorandum from the Department of Engineering to the Planning and Zoning Commission, dated June 16th, 2025. We have a document, subject traffic impact study, peer review, Midwood Associates Warehouses, Wallingford, Connecticut, dated June 16th, 2025. Email correspondence forwarded to the Planning and Zoning Commission from, it looks like it's a thread between Allison Kapuscinski, our town engineer, and George Cotter at OCC Design. And that was dated 6/25/25. Email correspondence from Brian Schott to the Planning and Zoning Commission, Fire Marshal, dated July 2nd, 2025. Email correspondence from Jeff Cohen to the Planning and Zoning Commission, dated July 8th, 2025. Correspondence to the Planning and Zoning Commission from OCC Group Incorporated, dated July 7th, 2025. Correspondence to the Planning and Zoning Commission regarding Fire Marshal review comments from OCC Group Incorporated, dated July 7th, 2025. Correspondence to the Planning and Zoning Commission from OCC Group Incorporated regarding Engineering Department review comments, dated July 7th, 2025. document entitled Inventory of Existing Stormwater Facilities for 1000, 1020, 1030, 1044, and 1080 Barnes Road, Wallingford. Appears undated. An inspection report from the Wallingford Fire Department. Dated, looks like July 7th, 2025. Inter-office memorandum from Thomas Flannery, senior engineer, to Kevin Pagini, town planner, dated July 10th, 2025. Correspondence to Tom Hogan from John Scarup, appears to be from GM2 Company. Again, date of receipt, there's the date. I'm sorry, July 9th, 2025. Sorry, it was in the upper right-hand corner. Memorandum from the Department of Engineering to the Planning and Zoning Commission, dated July 14th, 2025. Correspondence from OCC Group Incorporated to the Planning and Zoning Commission regarding Engineering Department review comments, dated July 14th, 2025. And then a large set of maps and engineering plans. Revised through July 7th, 2025. And I believe that is all.
Also just the traffic report. Huh?
Can you see it? And the traffic review study from Bubaris Traffic, dated November 7th, 2024. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Allison. At this point in time, if the applicant please introduce themselves and continue with their presentation from last month.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, James Perito, I'm an attorney with Halloran Sage with offices at 265 Church Street in New Haven. I'm here representing the owners of 1000, 1020, 1030, 1044, and 1080 Barnes Road, Midwood.
Sir, excuse me, could you pull the microphone just a little bit closer?
Closer?
That'd be appreciated.
How's that?
Thank you.
Is that better? Okay.
Oh, that's terrific. Thanks.
Again, owners of 1000, 1020, 1030, 1044, and 1080 Barnes Road, Midwood Management Corp., for a special permit application number 401-25. With me is the owner's representative, Kevin Cornell, who's in the audience. Our engineering group is OCC Design Consortium, David Carson and George Carter. Our traffic consultant is Jim Barbaras, who's here tonight with us, and our architect, Sam Sargent from Lazarus and Sargents. A couple of housekeeping matters. Notices were emailed to the PCC department on Friday, and I've handed in the original green cards for both the May and June hearing dates to the town planner. You opened the public hearing in your June meeting, and this is the continuation of that hearing, and we did that to allow for the traffic peer review of the traffic analysis to be completed, which has been done. Commissioner Allison reviewed all the information that has been submitted in the past month. I'm not going to go through the same thing he did, but to suffice to say that there were engineering comments, which I believe Dave Carson has answered throughout the process, and also most recently with the communication today. There was communications from the fire department and the fire marshal, all of which have been addressed. There obviously was the traffic report, which was reviewed by your consultant, and then we commented on as well, and they came back and had a few other comments, which I think are incorporated. There was the notation from the senior engineer from Water and Sewer Divisions, which was also addressed, and you noted that you had received the stormwater system maintenance best management practice plan, the drain pipe analysis, and the inventory of the facilities in the Barnes Road area. With that, we'd like to turn it over initially to Mr. Carson and Mr. Carter, and then to Jim Barbaras. So, Dave, if you'd like to review the overall plan.
On? Yes. Good evening, Commissioners. For the record, my name is David Carson, one of the principals of the OCC Group. The site under review this evening has been owned by the applicant for decades. And over those decades, OCC has prepared numerous development concepts for this site, industrial, office, even residential. Based on all those reviews, we started this project with a significant understanding of the site and the goals of the applicant with regard to this specific development concept. From a planning standpoint, the most significant feature of the site is the wetland corridor, which runs through the center of the site, if I can find the right pen. Runs down through the center of the site like this. As you are aware, there was an extensive review by Inland Wetlands for this project. The plan set, which includes 49 sheets, kind of demonstrates the extent of that wetland review. Back to a planning perspective, we obviously initially recognized the fact that there were actually 3 distinct development areas on this site, on either side of the main wetland corridor. So our first objective was to design a comprehensive driveway network to serve the needs of a facility with a complex with buildings in 3 different locations, and then subsequent to that, to come up with an internal circulation concept that would come up with viable circulation around each building, servicing each building, without compromising the integrity of the other buildings. We also, a major goal was to the extent possible, separate the internal traffic movements of regular passenger vehicles and the truck traffic. To that end, we came up with 3 driveway entrances, passenger car only, 2 off of Northrop Road, 1 through 777 Northrop, which is also owned by the applicant. And this access was conceived many years ago when 777 was approved, and the easement is already in place for access and utilities. And the utilities extend right to the property line of the parcel under review. The second access point, again off Northrop Road, to the passenger car parking, and then a third off of Old Barnes Road in this location to access parking for Building 1. In addition to that, we have 2 main truck entrances, one off Northrop Road and one off Legas Road, both leading directly to Route 68, which both have the benefit of a signalized intersection. This basically has enabled us to keep the truck traffic in the entire complex virtually separated from the passenger car employee parking for the site. The other thing that we noted early on was that this was a significantly large project, and the possibility of this project being built in phases was a real possibility. So from an engineering standpoint and an environmental standpoint, wetland standpoint, we designed each one of these phases to be totally self-sufficient, whether it be vehicular parking, utility access, and more importantly, stormwater management. So each one of these sites has a totally independent stormwater management system, and the plans call for each one of these phases to be built in its entirety prior to moving on to the second phase. So they'll be constructed, stabilized. There is an operational management report that was included in this, was part of our in the wetlands presentation. And just before I turn this over to Mr. Cotter to talk more about the overall stormwater system, I'd like to address, there were one of your commissioners this evening, I apologize, I don't recall his name, sent an email that he was not going to be available this evening. He addressed three issues of concern. One of them being the bald eagle. Early on in the wetland review process, we naturally submitted a natural diversity request. We're in contact with DEP, our environmental consultant, REMA Ecological. Contacted them. The eagle's nest is in the island out here. They were, they basically had no concern with the project. Normally, the review area is 300 feet around nesting grounds. The closest point of the rear of building 3 is over 450 feet away, and all this dark green, all this wooded area will remain again as a buffer. Second item was some native planting. That again was addressed in wetlands, and during the construction process, there will be temporary sediment basins, one along here, and another over here. As construction progresses to the point where those sediment basins are not necessary anymore, they will be planted with native species plantings, which will be submitted to the environmental consultants of the town for review and approval. The last item was in regard to chemicals. The applicant has no problem. We will not be using, I'm not going to say it right, but the rodent one, and the other one, the insecticide, is already not allowed by the state of Connecticut. So at this point, I will turn this over to Mr. Cotter, and we'll be happy to answer any questions either now or at the end of our presentation.
Sure. Before we hear from Mr. Cotter, just any commission members with any questions at this point in time for the gentleman here? Seeing none? Mr. Cotter.
There, it's around the corner here. Here you go.
For the record, George Cotter, PE. This project was designed, as Mr. Carson said, into 3 phases. One phase along Northrop Road would be Building 1. One phase along Old Barnes Road would be Building 2. And the third phase would be an interior building, Building 3. What we tried to do, the only portion of this project that is within the Aquifer Protection District is this little piece right here. And what we did is the drainage from the front parking lot along Northrop Road is designated to go to a stormwater management system at Old Barnes and Northrop Road at Route 68. That would be the front half of the building and the parking lot. We have underground collection system in a drain that generates runoff to this basin, first basin. Half of the roof runoff will also be directed here. And this will tie into the state drainage system that goes back to the reservoir. The first flush elevation is below the outlet of the basin so that we will recharge back into the ground. That portion of the project for this building 1 is contained, and in every phase of each application of the stormwater management areas, we have a reduction in the post-development condition. The rear of the building will flow in the direction of the wetland corridor that runs through the project in this direction towards North Farmers Reservoir, which is located here. This will be in we have oil water separators, underground galleys, and that is located in this vicinity, which discharges back to the wetland. Building 2, we have an existing detention basin that was originally approved by this commission in the 90s and approved by DEP at the time and the Corps. That basin is going to be used in the stormwater management of the front of Building 2, which also has an underground galley system and an oil water separator, hydrodynamic separator. That will discharge into this basin. We will construct an emergency spillway off that and a pipe through to reduce flows from here, and then it'll discharge into an existing swale and then into the reservoir. Building 3 is broken down so that the portion of the ridge, comes up, goes back down to the reservoir from the wetlands. The front side of the building and parking will be in an underground galley system, will discharge back to the wetlands. And the rear half of the building and the small parking lot here will discharge to a detention basin at this vicinity and back towards the reservoir. That's kind of an overall concept. What we tried to do was mimic all the water flows as they exist with reduced runoff, first spill containment, and to be able to recharge back to the wetlands from the galleys, and also to not increase any flows through those wetlands. If the commission has any questions at this time, they've been more than glad to answer.
Any questions for the gentleman? Please continue.
Thank you, George. I think at this point we'd have, are you finished with your presentation? I think Jim Barbaras from the traffic consultant would come up and review his report and maybe the response to the peer review.
Good evening. Is this on? I guess it is.
Yes, it is.
I'm Jim Bubaras. I'm a principal in Bubaras Traffic Associates. We're traffic engineering consultants located now in East Hampton, Connecticut. We prepared the site traffic evaluation study dated October 7th, 2024. And what we did is we prepared the study in conformance with what Wallingford requires for warehouse developments, which I'll get into, and of course, ultimately, for what OSTA, the Office of State Traffic Administration, requires, because if this is approved here, it then has to go to them for their review and approval. I don't think I need to tell you the sizes and the parking and all that. I think that's already been discussed and is already there on the record. What I need to tell you is how we first came up with the site-generated traffic volumes. We, as required by ITE, the Institute of Transportation Engineers, and OSTA, the Office of State Traffic Administration, we use the warehouse land use code number 150 from the trip generation manual that my profession uses as a Bible almost for trip generation. We came up for the value of what this size warehouse development will generate. We then went into the additional gyrations that need to be done in order to satisfy the town of Wallingford. First of all, it has been assumed that, as required, 70% of that number from the ITE estimate will be passenger cars. 10% of that number will be anywhere from 2 to 4 axle trucks, and 20% of that will be 5 axle trucks. So the 2 to 4 axle trucks are basically box trucks that you see out on the road, and the 5 axle trucks are basically tractor trailers. We then, once we determine those numbers, again, we followed what Wallingford requires and converted the passenger cars stayed as passenger cars, okay? They're equivalent to a passenger car, obviously. The 2 to 4 axle trucks were assumed to be equivalent to 3 passenger cars. So whatever that number was, it was expanded threefold. And then the 5 axle trucks were assumed to be 4 passenger vehicles, so whatever that number was, it became fourfold. So the number that we actually evaluated for the traffic study was about 1.8 times what we would normally present for a traffic study and what is normally accepted by OSTA, all right? So we have a high number, and that's why when your peer reviewer made their review and stated their findings, they said that the report was conservative. It's for that reason that it's conservative. But that doesn't mean that there's a very high number. The number that we're talking about is anywhere from 133 to 137 trips per hour during, there are four peak periods. There are 2 in the AM peak, somewhere between 7 and 9 AM, and there are 2 in the PM peak, anywhere between 3 and 5 PM. Those are 133 to 137 trips per hour. That sounds like a lot, but it really isn't, okay? And we use those numbers in order to do our operations analysis. So now, as was stated by the previous presentations, there's one driveway on Barnes Road, opposite Legis Road, which is a signalized driveway, and there's 3 driveways on Northrop Road, which are unsignalized, and of course then you have the intersection of Northrop Road and Route 68, which is also signalized. So we have 2 signalized intersections and immediately around the site, and 3 non-signalized intersections. And given the type of warehouse development that's expected to happen here, we assume that most of the trips will be oriented to and from I-91. And as you know, interchange 15 of I-91 is to the east of this development, and that has 2 signals there to operate the ramps that come on and off of that interchange. So we evaluated those also. And the assumption we made was, and we did this based on the volumes that are already on the street, that 40% of the trips will be oriented to and from the north by way of I-91. 40% of the trips will be oriented to and from the south by I-91. 15% will be oriented to and from the west by 68 west of the site, and only about 5% will be oriented to and from the east of I-91 by Route 68. So that's how we distributed the traffic. In order to come up with the basis of what is out there today, we do what we are typically required to do, and we went to the ConnDOT traffic planning people, the planning division people, and asked them if there are any recent developments that they have reviewed and approved in this area. And at the time that we made the request, which was about a year and a half ago, they told us about the site on Northrop Road that's directly across the street from this development, where I just checked it out today. There's a therapy center being built, beautiful building, a therapy center being built. So we took the volumes that had been presented by that traffic study that was done for them and approved by OSTA, and used their combined traffic, their billed traffic, as the basis to which we added our traffic. So then we came up with what we call the combined scenario. So when we did the operational analyses of the signalized and unsignalized intersections, we found that the unsignalized intersections will continue to operate at a level of service A to B, which is very good, and the signalized intersections will continue to operate at levels of service B to C, which is also very good. And as you know, there's a lot of traffic moving through this area, but as to the credit of all the roadway improvements that have been done over time here, it continues to operate quite well. We also looked at the traffic crash experience in the area to see if there are any problems that keep coming up that need to be addressed. And it's a very, very good experience, very low numbers. We have the numbers in our report, and we don't find any need for any improvements to be made for what we're doing here, for what we're adding. And we also evaluated the sight lines that are going to be available from all the site drives. And what we assumed for that was for the site drives that are on coming out on Old Barn Road, which is the approach to Route 68, we assumed a speed on Old Barn Road of 30 miles per hour. And for the site drives on Northrop Drive, we assumed a speed of 45 miles per hour. And for each of those, we have different numbers for passenger cars and for trucks. We are able to meet all of those requirements as presented by a plan done by Dave's group. And our conclusion was that this will not have an adverse impact on what is already a very good traffic system out there today. So should you approve this, it then goes to the next step, which is an application to the Office of State Traffic Administration. So that's my presentation, and I need to conclude this by saying that the peer review that was done by GM2, and I'm sure you've seen it, has confirmed that everything we did was right on the mark. They made a couple of suggestions, and that has been incorporated in some improvements that have been made to the site plan, and that's it. I'm here for any questions if you have them.
Thank you, sir. Questions for commission members, rather. Mr. Fitzsimmons.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In relation to the traffic, right? Those the questions you're looking for? Okay. I heard your presentation, and I've seen you here before. The question is, did you do any of your own traffic counts in the area?
Yes, we had to do traffic counts along Northrop. All the site drives, we had to do those for the site drives on Northrop, all right?
Okay.
And we also reviewed recent counts that have been done by the state itself, just to make sure that the volumes we were looking at, that we were presented to evaluate, were in agreement with what the state itself counted on its own in the area. And everything was pretty much in conformance.
What dates were those done?
The dates of the count that I did?
The counts.
The counts that we did were in 2024, last year.
Okay. The reason I'm asking, because I'll get there quicker, is the busing terminal. Did you do the counts when the buses were running? Which means the school was open, the buses were going down that road?
I believe I did.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, I could give you. Once I get back to my file, I can look up. I'll give you the exact date of the counts.
But you're confirming it was done when the buses were running?
I'm pretty sure. Okay.
You would know. Big yellow bus.
Okay. I mean.
Yeah. I mean, if I could, regarding the comments from GM2. Their last note under their conclusion said the increased traffic at Northrop is not expected to adversely affect the bus depot near the development. And I would imagine having been out there, I went and looked at the site. I'm quite familiar with the site. Whenever I'm trying to take a left at 68, inevitably I'm either after rush hour, which means the buses are coming back to the depot, or they're coming home from the end of the day, and the buses would be concurrent with the peak period traffic, right? Because the buses start running before 6:30 and they're done at 9:15, so they're out, in that peak window. But then the buses start running again around 2 in the afternoon till around 5.
Right.
So they would hit both of your peaks. That's why I understand what the book says as far as because you went through a nice explanation of how you came up with the counts from the manual, but real world conditions, the bus traffic must add a lot to the peak traffic is where I was going. But if you can confirm that you did your daily counts when the schools were in session and the buses were running, then I'm looking for that confirmation.
I could tell you, I can come back to you later on today and tell you what the counts show me. Okay, I have them right here. They're
Right.
behind me somewhere. But we traditionally try to avoid doing counts during the summer just because of what you just brought up.
Right.
Okay?
Right. And I think part of it too is we have one bus terminal in town. It's on that road, the same road you want to put this parcel activity is. So I apologize. I wasn't here last month, but I reviewed the materials. I just couldn't find the dates of the traffic counts. So if I could, moving on to the other part of the GM2 conclusions, it said the Northrop Road study, referring to the one done by Scrog, mentions that the high percentage of trucks already using the road, the lack of lighting in the area, and the substandard site distances.
I don't know what is meant by that because we did an analysis of what our site distances will be, and they meet the standard. They meet the requirement, the minimum recommended requirement from CONDOT, which is what everybody uses. Okay.
Right.
All right. So we meet that. We exceed that number, but we certainly don't have substandard issues here. They might be talking about further up the road. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, when we received the application, and again, these questions are strictly limited to the traffic. I think that the first bullet point that the conclusion represents talks about the Scrog report that was prepared in June 2023, which was commented in the peer review memo, which states that the study noted that Northrop Road, quote, lacks the characteristics desired to provide safe mobility for not only the industrial, commercial, and agricultural land uses, but for residents that utilize the roadway as well. So as I look at the peer review, I look at your information, I've heard it, the road's tough. It's a tough road. It's twists and winds. You are on the flat section. There's no question. This application is on the flat section, but the road itself is challenging. It's not wide, it's not well lit, and it twists and winds. So that's why I was asking the questions, because it does say that your report does not appear to be in conflict with that. But I also heard you clearly state this application doesn't require or offer any roadway improvements to your section, if I heard correctly. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay. But then in your memo today to the town, you reminded the town of the, give me one second. This is dated, dated last week, where it said, OCC is not expected to respond to the additional recommendation GM2 intended for the town to review, and these are listed below. And it says the recommendations provided in the Northrop Road study should be reviewed and considered by the town prior to site development. And it talks about the fact of a couple of things I highlighted in the memo, and this is from our peer review: installation of overhead roadway lighting on existing utility poles, the addition of painted shoulder lines throughout the length of the roadway, implement center line rumble strips throughout the Northrop Road corridor, and install appropriate warning signage and illuminated stop signs. So your response to, your response to us, if I understand correctly, was that we, the town, should look at doing these things for for everybody, but your application is not offering to do anything as part of this application. Is that accurate?
That's my understanding. I didn't write that. You need to talk to the gentleman who wrote it, but I would assume that we are not offering to make the improvements on Northrop Road because it is our anticipation that we're not going to be impacting anything beyond our frontage, okay? Because our traffic is going to be heading south to Route 68, and then most of it, the overwhelming majority, will be destined to and from 91, all right? We're not going to be going north on Northrop.
Okay.
And from what I know of the study that was done of Northrop and all that, the issues are north of us, north of this site. The issues of Northrop Road, okay, are north of
You mean
here.
towards Meriden? I'm sorry, which part of Northrop Road are you referring to? I'm sorry.
The issues that are stated in the Northrop study that's being recommended, where whoever did the Northrop study, I guess it was the Council of
South
Governments.
Central Regional Council
Okay.
of Governments.
The issues are north of this area, okay? And we, for the most part, are not going to be impacting that area. Certainly not with trucks, okay? There might be an employer or two or that might come down that way, but all our traffic is for the overwhelming majority, is oriented to and from Route 68.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzsimmons. Other commission members? Mr. Rivard.
Mr. Chairman, will we have at the end, we can go back to some other subjects as well if we want?
Absolutely.
Okay, so this will be traffic oriented. You mentioned that you took a percentage based on the entrances of the traffic flow, which I think is fairly typical, and met all of the requirements. If all of the traffic were to come from 91 south, as you mentioned there, would you still have the same conclusions relative to the traffic studies? If you had 100% coming from that southern route, inclusive of the trucks, would that also still meet all of the requirements?
I do
of the
have
traffic study?
100% coming from the.
Okay, so I thought I heard you say you had 5% entering at different sites. There were three percentages. Maybe I need to be refreshed.
Oh, okay, what the percentages I spoke about is how the traffic will be distributed to and from the site.
Right.
About 80% of it will be coming directly from I-91, to and from I-91.
Right.
5% may be making its way, to the east of 91. The other 15% is going to be going west of here.
Okay, so those...
And those numbers, the ones that aren't going to 91, those two numbers, the 15 and the 5, that's primarily employees that are coming to here, okay?
Okay.
The rest of the traffic and the majority of the employees are probably going to be using I-91.
Got it. Okay, so in the two entrances up Northrop, where you said there won't be any, trucks going in and out from any of those locations, does that mean that those are one way in, one way out? How are those going to be oriented to assure those the trucks just can't go through there, or what? I'm trying to just understand your statement is all.
There's a signage plan, and I guess you're going to have to ask Mr. Carson about that, but there's the signing plan that directs the trucks what they need to do. They're not allowed to go north.
Okay.
All right?
Okay. So they won't be, so none of the trucks will be going north and entering from those entrances. Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Other commission members? I just have a question as far as the distribution. I know, or not necessarily the distribution, but the amount of the traffic. When you did your distribution from your site, you mentioned you took into Wallingford's adjustment that needs to be made for the traffic as far as if it's a five-axle vehicle, it's 3 cars. If it's less than that, it's 2, and then a car obviously is a car. You've done that for your traffic that's coming out of there. Is any evaluation been done for the existing traffic that's on the road right now? I know you've used it from the, from the state and the various studies, but I mean, one thing I've noticed, because I live in the general area, when you see traffic looking to get onto, especially truck traffic, to get onto 91, especially if it's going north, because that's a very sharp curve, and a lot of times you can simply get maybe 2 trucks that go through there before the light changes. So again, when you look at the historic traffic, that's, I assume, is just based upon, a truck is one vehicle, rather than under when we evaluated, a 5-axle truck would be, 3 vehicles or 4 vehicles? Is there any thought to it making the adjustment to what type the vehicles are on the existing traffic that goes on that goes through there?
The only adjustments we made as far as
No, I understand, yeah, okay.
equivalence was to what we're adding, okay? For what
Sir, if you could please pull that just a little bit closer. They're not picking up your sound.
The only adjustments we made for passenger car equivalence is for the new traffic that we're adding, okay? For what's already existing, we evaluated it 1 for 1, all right? Now, we did do an existing evaluation of today's traffic. We also did an evaluation of the future traffic. We projected to 2026, figuring, all right, that's when hopefully all of this is going to be in, without us into it. And then we did the same for 2026 with us added to it, all right? Now, we did not, as I said, make an adjustment of converting the types of vehicles to passenger car equivalents for the existing traffic on the street. We just didn't do that. However, we did do the analysis for what we normally do, and this is how we do them. I mean, we all do them this way, and this is the way Austin has us do it. They don't have us coming up with passenger car equivalents. But we came up with levels of service B and C for those signalized intersections at the ramps.
No, and I fully understand
I mean,
that.
that's pretty good.
No, again, I fully understand.
I know what you're talking about. That right turn, eastbound right turn that goes to head north onto I-91, that is pretty sharp, okay? And what needs to be done there is the DOT needs to revisit that.
Sir, again, you keep pulling away. You have to keep close to the microphone.
Boy, it's pretty sensitive, isn't it?
Oh, exactly.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay. What the DOT needs to do is to review that and see if they can do something with it. I looked at it a couple of times for other reasons and all that, and just because of the way the grades are and all that, I don't know what you can do there, okay, aside from changing the ramp so it doesn't come off as it does, but it is 90 degrees to Route 68 and it goes down a bit before it then turns to meet the highway further upstream, but so forth. But to answer your question in a long-winded way, no, we did not convert all the traffic that's out there to passenger car equivalents.
So to ask you another question in a very direct way, is that something you can do?
I would have to know what the percentage of each type of vehicle is. I would have to know the makeup of the traffic. I don't know how much of the
traffic. I thought you said you did the counts, so I assume
did counts, but I didn't count the traffic. I counted the vehicles.
But you didn't identify it.
I didn't identify.
Sure, let me finish.
The
But
type.
you didn't. Yeah, you didn't identify the type of vehicle. So
no,
we
that's
know
a whole
as far,
different type of study.
Well, let me speak,
Okay.
please. So in other words, you counted the vehicles, the number of vehicles, but you were not able to identify what type of vehicle it is or the vehicle that it was, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
All right. But we can certainly do that if that's what we tell the people who are counting they're doing. All right? All right. Follow me? Yes.
It's not that difficult to follow. Yes,
Okay.
I follow you. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Parent.
And looking, or just listening to you, it seems that, okay, did what you did, is this the worst case scenario? Because you have everybody, the buses, people going to work and everything, and the operation of your warehouses at the worst possible times of the day because they're all coming in together. Now, would that be the worst-case scenario, where you have everybody trying to get there at the same time?
Yes, it would be. What we're doing is we're looking at the worst-case scenario. That's what we typically do, because if we can demonstrate that it's going to work during the worst, it means that every other hour of the day will also work.
Okay.
So that's why we have the AM peak, and then that's why we have the PM peak. In the AM peak, everybody's either coming in or going out, and in the PM peak, it's directly the opposite, different situations, and even the distributions are different, AM and PM. That's why we do two sets of analyses.
So, okay, which leads up to the follow-up question. So say that your tenants now, they want to run at night, would that make the situation easier?
It'd make it better because the background traffic will be lower.
Okay. So then it's your contention that this is the worst, okay, we've done the worst, we've done our traffic study, we've done it under the worst possible conditions, and it works.
That's about it.
Okay, thank you.
Other commission members? Does the gentleman like to continue with your presentation?
Thank you. Mr. Sargent, will you please go through the architecturals? There should be a microphone over there that you can use.
My name is Samuel Sargent. I'm a principal at Lazarus and Sargent Architects, and I was retained by Millwood to provide architectural design for the three buildings. Could you leave this for me?
Oh, okay.
I like this drawing. I like this drawing. Okay. And I actually came late to this, and as you know, the application has been underway for some time, and I think that the key thing that you can get from this particular drawing is that even though we have three fairly large buildings, two of which are 175,000 square feet plus or minus, and the third one, building 2, is just over 100,000 square feet. And the design team and OCC has done their very, very best to provide a environment for these three buildings that has a relatively minor impact on the site. Yes, Building 1 is adjacent to the street, as it should be. That is a street that is, of course, much trafficked and could be considered an industrial park street. But Building 3, which is, I think, the best protected, has over 300 feet of woodlands of mature growth that actually protects the view of Building 3 from the residents over on North Farms. And even Building 1, you can see the boundary layer that is created to isolate these buildings. And our client has asked us to develop on that. And I do have to tell you that initially, I really wanted to use some wonderful bright colors. But they asked me to tone it down. And what we've come up with is basically muted grays and relatively minor impacts at various corners of the building and elements that simply break the facade. But basically these buildings are tended to be all muted to soften their impact on the site. And even the type of corner elements, and this is a site plan showing the different corner elements that ultimately were used, as you saw on that drawing. And by the way, all three buildings are pretty much the same, as I'm sure you understand. But the most, shall we say, inviting, vibrant corner elements are on Building 1, the building that faces Northrop. And for Building 3, basically the corner elements that we've used to break up the facade are basically just iterations of that, but with solid panels and very little glass. So there is very little impact, light impact out onto North Farms Reservoir. And hopefully these buildings will be pretty well hidden from all the residents on North Farms. And here I am saying it's glorious architecture, et cetera, but we are really trying to hide it, to make it blend into the site and provide a development for this site that is really as sympathetic as we can make it given the use, and make it as sympathetic to the site given the use. And the buildings themselves are really, the design of the buildings are evolved really from the internal uses. We have racks inside that we have to accommodate, and the industry standard says that they're so high. And the sprinkler system says that we need certain clearance above the racks to the bar joist spaces. And that's pretty much what sets how high the buildings are. And then the 50-foot column grid spacing has become a standard for buildings with racks in them. Now, our elevations may be adjusted over time because the client really doesn't know how these buildings will be leased. And there be more than one tenant in these buildings, and so we've provided elements that could accommodate multi-tenant space. But overall, what we've tried to do is create a really low-key design that sits into the site, that integrates itself into the site, has muted colors, and has a low impact, especially on the environment that surrounds North Farms Reservoir. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. And just to give you an idea, this is building 2. Do you notice the differences? The radical differences between this? I doubt if you do. Thank you very much, Mr. Fitzsimmons. Are there any questions?
What do you anticipate the heights of the buildings to be?
We estimate that they're going to be in the 35-foot range.
So they could, depending upon, I assume, depending upon the use for the buildings, the heights could vary. I mean, one building may be of a certain height, another could be of a different height. Is that correct, depending upon a tenant?
I think that the buildings will be standardized, but again, because they're going to be developed in phases, circumstances may change, and you may see some articulation in the parapet height.
Okay. Thank you. Questions for the gentleman? Anyone? Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sargent. If the commission has any other questions, I can certainly have Mr. Carson or Mr. Carter come back up.
Sir, I guess I'll go first to the commission. Any additional questions for the applicant? Yes, Mr. Rivard.
I really appreciated the phasing concept and walking us through that. What I keep coming back to, and I know we really can't specifically ask at this point, but depending upon what is going to be going in and out of these warehouses, I have a little bit of a concern of the throughways in between the warehouses and within the site, because you're crossing over some protected area, some watershed area. And I'm sure it was discussed at the inland wetlands. I didn't see anything specific to that. But depending upon what you're trucking, I have some concerns over capture or spills or things like that. And I want to hear what you've thought about for that. It seems to me around the buildings, you've put a lot of thought, you've met all the requirements that are there, but you've created an internal facility where you're driving over these spaces.
Oh.
And, just to ground the public in this, you're going from basically 0 impervious surface to a fourth of, 40 acres.
Correct.
Right, to just put this in perspective. This is a big change to this area. So thank you for taking into account what Mr. Cohen was saying relative to the Eagle's Nest. What he's more concerned about, I think, is because he doesn't know what's going into these facilities. If this is food storage, he's worried about rodents and then, hazardous materials, and insecticides, rodenticides being eaten by the eagles. There's a lot of other things in here.
Before I
And-
have,
yeah.
before I have Dave sort of
Go ahead,
mention,
I
like,
guess.
the controls and the protections along the roadways internally. I mean, I've had the experience of having a number of clients that have built buildings in this range, maybe 100,000 square feet, and it's not like, it's not the big box kind of ones that we've seen around before. The types that I've seen for tenants, and again, we don't know the kind of tenants that may come to this, but what I've seen, and there's one in New Haven on Ive Street, actually has a beautiful mural on the side of it, but it has, for instance, like one of the tenants there has home improvement supplies, like roofing supplies, or the cladding for homes, and they take up the entire 90,000 square feet in that building. It's a pretty inert type of thing, but that's a great location for them, and it's just the right size. That's the kind of uses typically you'd have there. I mean, you know, it's asphalt shingles and it's you know, siding, which is fairly inert, you know, when it's packaging and it's things. But Dave, if you want to address his concern about, you know, sort of the roadways internally and how the stormwater is managed from those roadways as it goes through the wetland areas.
Well, you know, as Mr. Cotter had mentioned in his presentation, all the stormwater collection for all three buildings goes through hydrodynamic separators. This all meets DEP water quality standards.
Yeah, I understand that for the buildings. That's not my real question. My question is related to the roadways and the inside the site in between the buildings.
Okay, but even all that roadway drainage is going into the same collection system.
Okay, so you have, for say these overpasses that pass over that area, you're gonna capture anything that might spill there, and it gets sent back to the building collection.
This crossing right here presently exists.
Yep.
36-inch culvert.
Dave, could you use the microphone?
Use the microphone, please, sir.
Sorry. Still on? Yes. Okay. Yeah, okay, so as you are aware, that crossing was put in when a previous industrial building was approved here decades ago. So that, obviously, at a crossing like that, there's a low point. The catch basins that are right here are piped back to here. That set of catch basins itself goes through its own hydrodynamic separator before discharging into the balance of the stormwater system. Obviously, you know, this roadway crossing, the main roadways for the truck traffic are 30 feet wide. It basically is no different than a town road with a culvert under a road, and yes, you know, there certainly would be the concerns of accidents, spillage, or whatever. Unlike a normal town roadway, though, there is no ability to capture, there's no water quality. You're just capturing it in a catch basin and dumping it right into the stream. That's not what happens internally here. And spill containment for the whole site is addressed in our best management practices report, which will be made part of hopefully a P&Z approval, has already been made part of in the wetlands approval. It'll be recorded on the land records.
Yeah, and I also assume if there were hazardous materials being transported, you'd be subject to, you know, elevated scrutiny from the state as well, and
Right.
other permits.
Right.
So
To follow up,
at the time of an applicant trying to utilize for that use. Okay.
to follow up a little bit on what Jim said, based on our experience, we would anticipate that these particular warehouses would fit the need for bulk storage. There are 50,000 square foot warehouses everywhere, and they're not big enough for massive storage. Everybody is building 50,000 square foot warehouses and 300,000 square foot warehouses, which are more like distribution centers. This probably be bulk storage. We've done a paper warehouse facility, things that you don't even think about, where they just store paper for every kind of sign or use imaginable. And they buy in gigantic bulk quantities, you know, and then ship them out to Home Depot, sign places, things like that. But there is a need for large bulk storage, rack storage. I will mention one more thing because we do not want to deceive you. With regard to the height of the building, we don't know the exact height of what the buildings would be, but all these buildings have been laid out utilizing a potential height of 45 feet in order to meet all the required setbacks. 45 feet as measured by Wallingford's measurement of building height.
Okay, thank you.
Other commission members? Before I go out to the public, again, yes, Mr. Fitzsimmons.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have a couple questions. I'm not sure who of the three gentlemen would like to respond. So I heard repeatedly, you don't know the tenant. It's now probably used for bulk storage. Do you know if it'll be a 24-hour operation?
It could be.
Okay.
It could be.
And do you know, I appreciate the architectural shown by Mr. Sargent. Outdoor lighting?
Oh, any of the lighting would be compliant with your regulations for down lighting. So it would be, you know, it would be for dark stars. I think you have that requirement to have everything pointed down.
All right. And then the, in addition to the lighting, we always think about for the warehouse operation is sound, like so-called, you know, loudspeaker or any type of external communication, because it's in the area, it's industrial, but obviously your sound carries. So the question is the plans call for any outdoor speaker or noise amplification besides other than a truck backing up potentially?
Not that I know of, and I wouldn't, certainly anything that would be installed would comply with any noise ordinance, but we'd also be cognizant of the fact that, you know, at nighttime, you are correct, it also carries where there's water nearby, so we would keep that to a minimum.
All right. And then it's hard to probably answer, but I'm going to ask the question. What would be the maximum number of employees at these three buildings? At a full future build, how many employees would you envision here?
Dave, how many parking spaces have you provided per building? That may be a way to, again, it could be shifts, though. If it's a 24-hour, you could maybe have, I mean, I'm going to guess, but if you can tell you how parking is each building.
I can't tell you specifically, but I do know how we designed the parking. We basically, the parking spaces are nearly double the minimum required, and the reason for that is the possibility of shifts. Okay. So the parking lot could be full, you know, when another shift comes in. But the number of parking spaces far exceed the anticipated number of employees.
Okay. The last comment I have for this right now would be the memorandum we received from the Department of Engineering with today's date, where you are suggesting to us as a condition of approval that in the future you would submit code-compliant design for all accessible parking and building access. And then the town engineer goes on to say, this is not a common condition of approval, as the basic routing of sidewalks is typically required during the planning and zoning review. And I would tell you, I remember we have a large school in the center of town, private school, with day students. And even then, I remember they had an applicant where they were presenting a building and they didn't have a sidewalk plan because they weren't sure how the students would access the building. This is not a school, and this is not a school building, it's a warehouse. I think your plans need to show sidewalks and how the employees would get from the parking lot to the building. And I understand then you'd also have to show the doors, which then leads to the, please show us the entrance and the handicap spaces. So although conceptually I see what you're trying to do, I don't like your suggested condition of approval that in the future you come back with sidewalks to show us the routing as well as the access points and the doors, because the town engineer thoughtfully put in the memo to this commission that it does require then another review by the town at some point to, which could be years from now, including sidewalks to provide access to the building. It could have a domino effect with other aspects of the approval, such as stormwater, peak flow, pipe sizes, water quality, et cetera. So I think because the idea, the addition of sidewalks between the parking areas and buildings could result in 10,000 square feet of additional impervious surface. I think it spread among the 3 buildings. I would agree with the town engineer. I think it needs to be, we need to see it today with the idea that maybe you come back and change it depending on your tenant and the use. But as I look at this, my first thought was there's not enough parking for building 3. I understand all your comments about tucking it away, but there's no parking, apparently to me appears no employee parking close to building 3. And I think part of it is the sidewalk. So it's a general comment based upon what the town engineer said, but I would be on record as saying I agree with her comments on your suggested condition that you do it in the future.
Okay, if I may.
Thank you.
There apparently is a major misunderstanding. First of all, our handicap spaces and our sidewalks and building entrances are shown on the plan. There is no sidewalk running along the parking lots. I don't quite understand where that came about. I was responding to the initial set of comments, and I thought that what she was looking for is we had a typical handicap space and ramp, and I realized that there are variations of how it could be, so we provided some additional handicap space details to show optional things. I don't quite understand where she came. There are no sidewalks. There is no 10,000 square feet of sidewalks because there are no sidewalks. All the sidewalks and the handicap spaces are shown on the plan. The only thing that is not detailed and can't be detailed until the building permit stage is the actual, here's the handicap space, here's the sidewalk or ramp into the building. Which way does the door swing? How big is the pad, the landing pad? Those are detailed as part of an architectural building plan. So there's some miscommunication there.
I appreciate that. And as I cited when I spoke, this memo is dated today. I know you've been in the process for months, but we just received this today.
Yeah, and
as I was preparing, I immediately thought, well, gosh, because again, looking at the plan, so appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzsimmons. Other commission members? Seeing none, Mr. Pagini, comments, questions on the application before I go out to the public?
I don't think it was a miscommunication per se with the town engineer. I think she wasn't satisfied with some of the responses, so I think it would be best. I don't want to say, he was right or she was, wrong or anything. So I think it would make more sense for them to work it out and figure this out before just saying, condition of approval. But that would be my suggestion. And I guess another question I had for the traffic engineer was, doesn't seem like you've accounted for any traffic going from the warehouses possibly up towards Meriden. There has been a Whole Foods warehouse that has gone in, a 250,000-foot warehouse that's been approved, and another facility in Meriden off of Murdoch, and another tool manufacturing facility. So who's to say that the future tenant may not have increased truck traffic going up and down Northrop? I just noticed there was 0% traffic accounted for from that direction.
Mr. Barres, can you respond to that, if possible?
I mean, we could send some traffic up that way and see what it does. I mean, we're talking 170, what is it? 173, 137 trips, okay? May I ask a question of the
Oh,
planner?
absolutely.
What percentage would you send to Meriden?
Oh, no, I'm just posing the question as I saw that there was 0%. So I just know that, Whole Foods may have potentially food storage here. There might be the possibility for truck traffic back and forth. So just something just wanted to bring up, as a possibility. I don't know how you'd mitigate it, but at least showing it may be helpful. So, or accounting for something.
I mean, we could do that. I mean, we could do that and rerun the numbers, but, like, what would you think? I'm not trying to be a wise guy here.
I understand, sir.
I just need a number.
I understand.
10%, 15%? What do you
Let's
think the
do-
number is?
Yeah,
1%? I mean, because,
5% maybe?
okay, take 5% of the 137, okay? That's 7 cars, okay? 6 cars. Is 6 cars really going to make a difference to this whole thing? Sending them up to Meriden?
Not saying cars, I'm saying trucks specifically.
But we're saying trucks can't go that way, correct?
That's what you told me, which would have been a condition of approval.
Yeah, we basically have signage directing the trucks to Route 68, exiting the site.
Just a question. On Northrop Road, trucks coming down from Meriden, are they not prohibited from coming all the way down? Don't they have to cross over 95 to get on Research Parkway? I think, isn't there a sign out there that says no commercial traffic beyond this point?
I don't believe so.
Oh, through traffic.
Potentially coming from that way. I don't believe so, though.
Yeah,
'cause
no through
The
traffic.
entire Northrop Road study
me?
was based on truck traffic going back and forth, so I don't think there's a no through traffic, but I can double check with the police chief.
Yeah. Okay. Believe, Mr. Rivard, did you have a?
No, I chimed in out of turn. I already said my point, is that earlier I was told there was no traffic going that way.
Anything else, Mr. Pagini?
No, that was it.
Okay. Again, we have the questions, from the town engineers, Mr. Fitzsimmons mentioned. I think there needs to be some clarification on what the engineer is trying to convey to the applicant, as well as just looking at the questions in the memo from the town engineer. Again, I think there's more that we need on this. Also, I don't see that the commission, at this point in time this evening, could act on the application, just for the fact that, just from our engineering department, we don't have any conditions of approval from the town engineer. So I think there needs to be additional discussion between the applicant and the engineer, concerning some of the issues that have been raised. So I think that's where we are this evening, from at least taking any type of a motion on this application. But it is a public hearing, so at this point in time, I'd go out to the public. Any members of the public who would like to speak on the application, please come forward, your name and address, and your comments. Can I just have some people raise their hands to see who would like to speak on the application? Yes, in the back. And the gentleman in the back, did I see you raise your hand also, sir? Okay.
Well, good evening. I'm Representative Mary Mashinsky, 188 South Cherry Street, Wallingford. And I just wanted to put on the record that North Farms Reservoir is a destination state park owned by the state of Connecticut. And people from Wallingford and other towns visit it regularly for fishing, boating, wildlife viewing, and especially to look at the eagles. I often see professional photographers there taking pictures of the eagles. It was one of the early sites of bald eagle nesting after they rebounded from DDT poisoning, one of the first sites in Connecticut. And they did nest on the island, but they're not nesting there now as far as I can tell. As recently as 2019, they were nesting there. But apparently the current nest is down and they have moved somewhere else. And I couldn't find it. I went out with the kayak and checked to see if I could find the new nest and could not find it on June 9th. But there were 5 bald eagles over the winter months. And the day I was there with the kayak, there was one in the air flying over the reservoir. So I have a couple of requests. One is that we protect the eagles and other wildlife by limiting any blasting that may be done for the construction to the fall. September, October, November, you would get around the nesting period, and then you would get around the winter roost period. The nesting period is from February 1st to August 1st, and then the winter roosting period is December 31st to March 1st. So the blasting should really be in the fall if there has to be some. Also, to protect the eagles, the developer should leave the shoreline buffer intact. Shrubs and tall trees are important for the eagles and other wildlife, especially the very tall trees. And then finally, again for the eagles, the developer should remove, and the operator should remove any poisoned pest animals. Eagles do scavenge dead animals. When I was out there in the winter, they were eating dead Canada geese and swans. But they will eat poisoned animals, and then they become secondarily poisoned from the rodenticide. So that's one thing on the eagles. The second thing is that this property is being transformed from meadow and forest to 770,732 square feet of new impervious surface. So there's a big change going on here. And all that stormwater will have to be captured and cleaned, which I know the applicant is planning to do. I would ask that the commissioners, that the commission require maintenance and bonding if you need it to make sure the maintenance happens for the basins and the oil, water, and grit separators. They don't function if they're not maintained regularly. So I've seen cases in other towns where the maintenance did not happen and then the systems failed to work. But requiring the maintenance and possibly bonding if it's needed would help make sure that this big area of impervious surface will shed water that will be treated. And that will keep the quality of the reservoir in good condition so that people may visit there and enjoy the wildlife. So thank you for taking those two concerns into consideration.
Thank you. And we'll go to the gentleman in the back, please. Any other members of the public who would like to speak on the application, please raise your hand. Seeing none, this will be our last member of the public for this evening.
Good evening. Thank you for listening to me. And my name is Dr. Ed Homan from 12 Marie Lane. And I'm glad we're using now the passenger car equivalents that we established back in September of 2023. It's a little puzzling that I see that the intersections are now rated at A, B, and C, when I believe in the past those intersections had a lower rating using the non-passenger rule that we have. The second thing I have of concern is, as you mentioned, are all the industries that are in that area operating at reserve, at full capacity? If they're not, there could be more traffic coming in, and we haven't even calculated in when Bristol Myers property gets developed. What will that do to the intersections on either side of the bridge going over 91? So I'm concerned about, are we using up all our reserve capacity and create gridlock for the businesses that are there already? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Again, with that, I don't see there's any members of the public, any other members of the public that would like to speak on the application. At this point in time, I guess I bring it back just to the applicant. As I mentioned, we don't anticipate, or more than I don't anticipate, we won't be taking any action on the application this evening. But if you would like to make any final comments to the commissions, or if you'd like any further clarifications of what the commission members may be looking for, please let us know.
If I just can take a minute with Dave, 1 second.
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, are you suggesting that the hearing stays open so that the engineer and our engineer can
Oh, yeah,
confirm that issue?
Yes, we're going to continue the public hearing. We're not going to close the public hearing. We're keeping it opening so we can take additional comments from you, additional questions from the commission, as well as any additional questions from the members of the public.
That's fine, Mr. Chair. Then I guess you might need an extension on the hearing. If need be, I can check with the town planner, because I think we already started the hearing, 30 days. We may have to do an extension for the next one.
Mr. Pagini?
Yes, that's correct.
So we would agree to extend the hearing to the next month, and in that time, then Mr. Carson and the town engineer can clarify the sidewalk issue that they have, and any other questions that were raised. We'll come back then and answer those questions.
Good.
Great.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Again, if there's no further comments from commission, Mr. Fitzsimmons.
Sorry, one last thing. If we're, in addition to the comments, clarification with the town engineer, through you, Mr. Chairman, I didn't see in the record any memo to the commission from Wallingford's Legal Traffic Authority, the chief of police. Is it possible to get that for the next meeting?
It was basically handled by the town engineer through him. He didn't have any major comments on this application from what...
Can we get something in writing confirming he has no comments or he's deferring to Allison?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chair.
you. So at this point in time, I've entertained a motion to continue this application to our August meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we continue application 401-24, special permit, Midwood Management Company, 1000, 1020, 1030, 1044, and 1080 Barnes Road to our August Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Fitzsimmons. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Gentlemen, we'll see you next month. Thank you. All right, it brings us to our next public hearing, special permit for a warehouse for Macaulay at 15 Sterling Drive. If the applicant would please come forward to begin preparing for the presentation. And Mr. Allenson, if you'd please read the legal notice and note all correspondence for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Number 404-25, special permit request for Mulcahy to construct a warehouse building totaling 62,500 square feet and reconfiguration of the existing parking area at 15 Sterling Drive, Industrial Expansion IX District. We have an interoffice memorandum from Thomas Flannery, Senior Engineer, to Kevin Pagini, Town Planner, dated May 27th, 2025. Email correspondence from Allison Kapuscinski, Town Engineer, to Kevin Pagini, Town Planner, dated 6/25/25. An inspection report from the Wallingford Fire Department, dated 6/25/25. Memorandum from Aaron O'Hare, Environmental Planner, to Kevin Pagini, Town Planner, dated July 3rd, 2025. And maps and site plans, date of receipt, May 8th, 2025. And then a revised set dated June 11th, 2025. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Allenson. If the gentleman would please introduce themselves and begin their presentation.
Good evening. For the record, Brian Panico with Cole Civil and Survey. I'm joined here by Scott Hesketh, our traffic engineer for this project. This is an existing 22.38, and I apologize, we had a presentation that was supposed to be being projected. I don't know if the gentleman in the IT room there can pull it up for us, but in the meantime, it's a 22.38 acre parcel. This is the current Connecticut Lottery headquarters building and site. There is an adjacent piece of property to the south of the existing building to the southwest. Yep, thank you, sir. It's zoned IX and currently has 174,000 square foot building, 164 parking spaces, and we are proposing to add an additional. There we go, that's our existing site. So again, existing building, 174,000 square feet. You can see in the series of parking lots here, there's 164 parking spaces. Our proposal is focused on this southwest corner, the building adjacent to Sterling Drive. And here we're just showing the proposed building. We are reconfiguring this one parking lot to incorporate some loading docks for the trucks, and then separating that with kind of the primary parking for this building along the Sterling Drive section. The stormwater system for this building is focused in two different parts. The entire roof of the building is going to be infiltrated underground in two systems. The first system is located here, if you can see my cursor. And the second is located in this area of the parking lot. So the roof leaders are all collected. All of the stormwater runoff from the roof goes into those first, those underground infiltration systems first. Overflow from that would then connect to the underground catch basin system, which is in either parking lot. The parking lot to the south, where the loading docks are, we'll have a trench drain. There's an oil water separator. And then also we have hydrodynamic separators on both sets of parking lot catch basin systems. The parking lot to the north all drains into a large detention basin, infiltration detention basin. That detention basin has about 10 inches of storage before the weir, and that provides the water quality volume for the site. We're providing about 213% of the required water quality volume. That's as part of the new stormwater quality manual, where this site previously had very little, if any, water quality volume. Another item that came up during our discussion with wetlands, the building to the south of us, neighboring property, has a detention basin located just south of this building that actually overflowed or would overflow in an emergency spillway situation, running through this property into the existing detention basin and then out of, off the site through the existing collection system that runs in Sterling Drive. In order to mitigate that, we have proposed a series of measures. We have a small depression on the side of the building that also connects to a flared end structure, and then we are actually piping the stormwater runoff from that emergency spillway situation around the building to a swale and discharging it to a level spreader depression filled with stone that then connects to the existing stormwater system. Overall, reducing for all design storms the runoff on the site, providing again 213% of the required water quality volume on this site, and the detention infiltration basin is designed to drain fully within about 37 hours, and that's given both the soil testing and that was done on the property at the time of the wetlands application. We actually went out and did soil investigation, not just using the USGS mapping. So that sums up the general stormwater of the site. Again, this is a warehouse building. We'll have both the truck and vehicular access for employees, warehousing, use, and nature. And Scott, if you'd like to maybe touch on some of the traffic, that'd be great.
Certainly will. Thank you, Brian. Good evening. For the record, my name is Scott Hesketh. I'm a licensed engineer in the state of Connecticut, the firm of F.A. Hesketh and Associates. Our office is in East Granby, Connecticut. I'm the author of the April 17th, 2025 Traffic Impact Report and a revised report dated June 18th, 2025. You've heard a lot about traffic tonight on the other applications, so I'll just give you the highlights of this particular application. Again, we're proposing a 62,500 square foot warehouse building. According to the Institute of Transportation Engineers, we're projecting about 31 trips during the morning peak hour and 34 trips during the afternoon peak hour. Using the town's passenger car equivalent numbers, we're looking at 56 trips during the morning peak hour and 61 trips during the afternoon peak hour. So during a worst case scenario, about one additional trip per minute during the peak hour. In terms of background traffic volumes, we had the Connecticut Department of Transportation counts. We conducted manual turning movement counts during February of 2025 at 6 area intersections. We're an existing industrial park, which has been reviewed and approved by the Office of the State Traffic Administration. They approved it as a 500-acre industrial park. Didn't specify the amount of uses, but they had, I think they had over 3,500 parking spaces approved. I don't have the number in front of me, but it was a very large development that they had reviewed and approved, and we're just simply filling in a piece of that particular development. We distributed the traffic to the local roadway network with 40% of our traffic oriented to the west along Route 68, another 40% to the east along Route 68, and the remainder of the traffic along other local roadways. We conducted capacity analysis calculations at the 6 intersections that we looked at, plus the intersection of our site drive and Sterling Road. And the combined traffic volume conditions will be nearly identical to the background traffic volume conditions at all intersections, and the average increase in delay is less than 1 or 2 seconds per vehicle on average at all of the intersections we've looked at. So it's our professional opinion that the local roadway network is capable of accommodating the traffic volumes from this proposed development. It will do so safely and efficiently and without significant impact to the operations of the background roadway conditions. We have made an application to the Office of the State Traffic Administration for a revision to their current approval. We've received comments from them, we've responded back, and we do believe that should this commission grant site plan approval, that we will obtain an administrative decision for the development as in its entirety. If the commission has any specific questions related to traffic, I'll be happy to address them.
Questions for the applicant on traffic or any of the other comments that were made? Anyone? Is that the extent of your presentation, sir?
I believe so. The only other portion we have is we do have some architectural plans we can present to you. Effectively, this is the floor plan for the warehouse, one big empty open space. And we do have a second floor office mezzanine in a small portion of that building. You'll see they did focus on breaking up the facade to make it a little bit more attractive than some of the other warehouse options with some glazing and some different material uses and changes along the frontage of the building. And then as you get to the other portions of the back of the building, for example, where those loading docks are, the materials a little more uniform side of the building facing the south or the adjacent warehouse building. Again, less ornate. And then little perspective of what that building will look like effectively from the street looking at the building. I believe at this time we have, I believe the original comments from the town engineer were all addressed. Those came early when we were in the wetlands phase. Ms. O'Hare's comments all were also addressed at that time. And I believe the last communication was with the fire department. we had opened up a couple of the radii on some of the curb cuts just to more easily accommodate fire apparatus. But that was the extent of the comments we've received to date.
Thank you. I actually have a question for Mr. Pagini, because again, we have the most recent, I believe this is the most recent one, at least the most recent one I have is from July 2nd from 2025 from our Department of Engineering that gave some comments concerning various issues as well as just some concerns that were addressed or that were mentioned. Do you have that copy of that, sir, the one on June 2nd? And I don't see of 2025, and I don't see any response to that. And I don't see any communication from our town engineer addressing any of the responses that the applicant may have presented. Am I missing something, or?
I would have to verify that, because I believe the last set of plans that we had submitted, along with comments, was on July 7th. And those are from the 2nd, correct?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. This is from the 2nd.
July 2nd, right?
Yes, July.
Okay, correct. Yeah,
Not
and I
August
believe
2nd,
that those
actually.
were all
No, I'm just
addressed.
kidding
I
with
just
you.
don't know.
I think you said
Maybe a
July and
memo
then
just
June,
hasn't
so.
been-
Yeah, she did address them, and she did say that they have been addressed. I just think she potentially just forgot to put it in writing that they were addressed, because I think she was working directly with the applicant.
So again, I guess I come back to this one also. From the engineering department, do we have any suggested conditions of approval? I don't see any.
No, she didn't have anything other than what was mentioned. They addressed her concerns, and that was basically, I believe that's what the engineer was working with her directly, correct?
Correct, and we would be happy to make a condition of approval that any additional comments of hers be addressed and satisfied.
Yeah, I guess just going forward on something like this, you know, when we have comments that are raised by engineering, or any, forgetting about the engineering department, but any department, and then they may be, you know, discussed with the applicant, and if they've been resolved, it's certainly beneficial, at least for me, and I suspect for other commission members, to have some, if you would, final sign-off rather, from, you know, the various departments, basically saying that all of their issues have been addressed and they have no conditions of approval. Because I guess if I were to look at this, I guess I would say that there's no conditions of approval from the engineering department. Is that a fair assumption?
Correct.
Okay. Commission members, anybody else? Again, this is a public hearing. Any members of the public who would like to comment on the application, please come forward with any comments. Seeing none, again, I'd bring it back to the applicant if you'd like to make any final comments.
Nope, I think that finalizes their presentation. We appreciate your time.
Any questions from commission members? Okay. At this point in time, I'd entertain a motion to that we close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we close the public hearing for application 404-25, special permit, 15 Sterling Drive.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rivard. Voting beginning with Mr. Rivard. Was that Mr. Fitzsimmons?
Yes.
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 And yes, now at this point in time, I've entertained a motion on the application.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve application 404-25, special permit, 15 Sterling Drive, and site plan approval request to construct a 62,500 square foot warehouse and associated parking on plans entitled Proposed Site Improvement dated November 12, 2024, and revised to July 7, 2025, subject to, 1, comments from the environmental planner, Aaron O'Hare, dated 7/11/2025. 2, comments from the senior engineer, Tom Flannery, Water and Sewer Division, dated 7/10/2025. 3, comments from the town engineer, Allison Kapuscinski, dated 7/2/2025. 4, comments from the fire marshal, Brian Schott, dated 7/2/2025 and 7/9/2025. Number 5, excavation permit is required from the Department of Engineering for any work within the right-of-way. Number 6, operating and maintenance plan or notice of said plan to be filed on Wallingford land records. 7, erosion and sediment control bond in the amount of $9,500. And 8, 6 copies of final plan forwarded to the Planning and Zoning Office.
We have a motion on the application. Do we have a second? I'm going to look very closely who's...
Second.
Second by Mr. Fitzsimmons. Voting beginning with Mr. Rivard.
Yes.
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 And yes, your application's been approved. Gentlemen, have a good evening.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, it brings us to our next item. It's item number 3. It's a site plan Connecticut Food Share, Inc. at 2 Research Parkway. If the applicant would please come forward to begin their presentation. And Mr. Allenson, if you'd please note all correspondence for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A interoffice memorandum from Thomas Flannery, Senior Engineer, to Kevin Pagini, Town Planner, dated May 27th, 2025. Email correspondence from Allison Kapuscinski to Kevin Pagini, Town Planner, dated 6/25/25. Inspection report from the Wallingford Fire Department, dated 6/25/25. Memorandum from Aaron O'Hare, Environmental Planner, Kevin Pagini, Town Planner, dated July 3rd, 2025. Set of site plans dated May 8th, 2025. And a revised set dated June 11th, 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Allenson. If the applicant would please introduce themselves and begin the presentation.
Hi, my name is Tino Rovero. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Connecticut Food Share. To my left, you have Chris Pawlowski from Civil One Engineering, and to my right, you have Mike Pagani, Mike Romano. Sorry, I work with a Mike Pagani. Mike Romano from Century Commercial, their construction division.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Pawlowski. I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of Connecticut at Civil One, here on behalf of the applicant. I know Tino just gave a brief introduction, but I did want him to spend a couple of minutes and talk a little bit about the food share. I want to be sensitive to your time, so we'll keep it brief, but just a little bit about the operation they currently have in your town. So.
All right. With that said, for those, obviously, we are the food bank that supports all of the state of Connecticut. I just want to give you a little bit of statistics so you understand where we are with food insecurity in the state. Not surprising, post-pandemic, we've seen double-digit food cost increases, literally 30% post-pandemic. Double-digit rent increases, healthcare and electricity costs are going up, and that combined with unemployment and underemployment has driven the need for food to a point that we've not seen in our history. There are 516,000 people in the state of Connecticut today. 1 in 8 people are considered food insecure, and what that means is they don't have access to enough healthy and nutritious food. Of those 516,000, 138,000 are children. So 1 in 6 children in the state of Connecticut are considered food insecure. So overall, we're at 14% of the population in the state of Connecticut is food insecure when you think about the richest state in the country. In addition to that, 39% of all households in the state of Connecticut basically struggle to make ends meet. These are folks who are living paycheck to paycheck. And just to give you a little sense of what that means, an average, a family of 4, so 2 adults, 2 children in the state of Connecticut, need to earn an income of at least $114,000 in order just to break even to live in the state. We are the food bank, as I said, that serve all of the state of Connecticut. We are a Feeding America, which is a national food bank organization. We are a partner of them. We're a nonprofit. We have 125 employees that work for us. Last year, we distributed enough food to provide 44 million meals through the state of Connecticut through 650 community-based partners, including mobile pantry sites. We've brought a lot of awareness to the issue over the last several years, both from a public perspective, political, as well as media support. We continue to advocate very strongly through the media and through our legislature, including down at our Wallingford site. We have quite a bit of coverage and visitors down there to help try to reinforce the message. You heard me mention, in addition to those 650 pantries that we support with food, we also supply directly, we provide food directly to over 25,000 residents in the state of Connecticut each month at 120 different mobile sites across the state. Just a little bit, and I promise I'll be, to give you a sense of the town of Wallingford, we provided enough food to supply 775,000 meals last year. And to give you, that was through 7 of the town programs, including 2 mobile sites. The town of Wallingford is sitting at over 11.7% food insecure, just to give you a sense of how it is in the town. The work we do is heavily dependent on a lot of volunteers. We had over 6,000 volunteers support us last year with the equivalent of 46,000 hours of service, and for us, that's 23 full-time equivalent associates. We could never do the work without them. On the warehouse itself, we select about 35,000 cases, or about 800,000 pounds of food a week that we deliver throughout the state. And just under about 2 million cases and about 40 million pounds a year. Why Wallingford? We have a great relationship with the town. We have a very good partnership with the agencies. We have a very strong volunteer base, which, by the way, is growing quite nicely. The location is ideal. We have excellent access to major highways. The electricity rates in the town are very favorable. The core facility itself over on Research Parkway is in excellent condition. Obviously, pre-pandemic, our food insecurity forecast was a whole lot different than it is today. And the food insecurity rates I just gave you, they don't reflect what's coming. I'm sure everybody is aware of the cuts that are going to be made to both SNAP and to Medicaid. Those will have an adverse effect on food insecurity, which will increase what we need to do. So as we move forward, obviously our forecast and our growth needs have changed significantly. We're at a point in the facility today where we already reach capacity in our frozen and fresh storage areas, continually throughout the course of the year. We're projecting over the next year that we will consistently be at capacity or over capacity. Obviously, the proposed expansion will help us support that growth, and unfortunate growth, because obviously we'd like to be sitting here telling you we want to make a smaller building, not a bigger one. It will make the warehouse absolutely safer. It'll make the operation more efficient and more effective for us. It'll ultimately allow us to get the majority of our team under one building, and it also will have the potential to bring additional jobs to the town of Wallingford over time. So thank you. I appreciate you giving me a few minutes to talk about what we do.
Thank you, Tino. So as I mentioned, my name is Chris Plowski. I'm a licensed civil engineer with Civil One, here on behalf of the applicant. Can you see the screen?
Yes,
Perfect.
we can.
Thank you very much. So if you can see my mouse here, let's see. This is the site here, shaded in green. To the south, we have Barnes Road. To the east, we have Research Parkway. To the north, we have Joseph Carini Drive. And to the west, we have Thorpe Avenue. In 2014, 2012 and 2015, I'll say, the original facility was permitted in construction and constructed. It's currently about 67,000 square feet in size. As Tino mentioned, they're currently outgrowing their operations, looking to expand at their current facility. So we're here for a site plan application. Back in October of 2024, the applicant went before the Zoning Board of Appeals and achieved successfully was granted several variances for the property, which I'll just briefly go over to refresh the board here. So there was a front yard setback variance granted from 100 to 50 feet. The building coverage maximum was increased from 20 to 25%. The minimum open space requirement was decreased from 50 to 40%. The minimum open space in natural state was decreased from 75 to 35%. The loading dock in the front yard was allowed, which was not previously allowed. And the watershed interchange front landscaping requirement was reduced from 100 to 50 feet. Those have all been filed on the land records in the town of Wallingford, and our current site plan application complies with those regulations and the remainder of the regulations put forth in the zoning regulations. So the site is proposing 189 parking spaces in total. There's going to be 61 new parking spaces as part of the facility. It's a roughly 34,000 square foot addition that's approximately split between two separate areas. So there's one area we're adding on to the north here, and one area to the east or the rear of the building here. So again, Thorpe Ave's on the bottom of the page. Joseph Creaney Drive is to the north, Research Parkway is to the east, and then Barnes Road's to the south. There's currently two entrances to the facility. The one on Research Parkway will be maintained, as well as the rear entrance to Thorpe Avenue, except it'll be expanded, it'll be widened. And there'll be a new entrance for trucks only off Joseph Creaney Drive. Currently, there are no trucks allowed through the main entrance. That's going to remain. And then they will have the new entrance off of Creaney Drive for the truck traffic. The general hours of operation are 7 to 5. The trucks are usually an hour before and after that, so maybe 6 to 6. Sometimes there are late deliveries depending on the day. But again, all those truck traffics are going to come down Creaney Drive and enter the facility through this general direction. All the existing signage on site is going to remain. We're not proposing any signage. The general front facade of the building and the front area and the landscaping and everything is going to remain the same. The majority of the work is consisting of the expansion of the existing parking lot in this vicinity, the building addition here, the addition of loading docks, another building addition here. There's a few more loading docks in the front, some parking spaces for the tractor trailers while they're waiting, and then a truck circle and some additional loading docks and a one-way exit in the rear. The stormwater on site consists of a series of basins. So all the parking, it is in the watershed interchange district. So there's specific stormwater regulations we have to apply by. I just do want to also make a note, we have received inland wetland approval. We received town engineer approval and sign off. We received fire marshal sign off, review and approval. And we have received review and approval from the water and sewer department, Mr. Tom Flannery. So as I mentioned, there's 3 stormwater basins on the site. The one closest to Barnes Ave is the lowest in elevation, and the water exits to this existing stormwater system within Research Parkway. That's going to remain undisturbed. There's an existing sand filter as part of the 2014 application that is going to remain. This has been sized to handle all the parking lot impervious area that runs of stormwater runoff. There's also a existing stormwater basin located in this general vicinity that handles all the stormwater runoff from the roof. That's going to be expanded as part of this application and handle the additional roof runoff from the 2 building additions. Finally, the 4th stormwater measure we have is going to be this underground detention system here. It's going to have a liner on the bottom of it, so it's not going to infiltrate per se, as all the parking lot stormwater has to first go through the sand filter before it can be infiltrated into the ground. So it's going to act essentially as a cistern. It's going to consist of 255 underground stormwater chamber units and act as almost like a bath to reduce the peak flows in the site. And again, we're proposing this due to the increase in impervious area throughout the site. We're reducing all the stormwater flows from the 2 to 100-year storm event. And again, it's been reviewed and approved by the town engineer. Next, we have a series of soil erosion sediment control measures, silt fence, anti-tracking pads. There's 2 sediment traps, all standard in accordance with the latest soil erosion and sediment control manual and the stormwater manual. From a utility plan standpoint, all the existing connections are going to remain. We're not modifying the sanitary sewer. We're not modifying the water. We're not modifying the electric. We are potentially upgrading the generator that exists on site.
We're protecting and maintaining the transformers and protecting and maintaining the existing gas connections. So all utilities are going to remain the same. There's a series of easements located in this portion of the property for the sanitary sewer and the water. Those are going to remain untouched and in their current state throughout the life of the project. The landscaping plan is in compliance with the regulations. It features a series of native plants and expands on the existing landscaping that was previously approved by this commission. So throughout the parking lot, we have a series of shrubs, trees, perennials, just to name a few, some azaleas, inkberries, fountain grasses, mountain laurels, and more. There's a series of trees being planted not only in the front to further enhance that front landscape buffer, but also in the rear of the site along Thorpe Ave. Those consist of some autumn maples and some pin oaks. And again, these are all native and just expanding on what was currently on the site and reviewed and approved by this commission. Finally, we have the lighting plan. So all the lights that were existing on site are dark sky LED compliant. We are using the same fixtures and adding more. You'll note that there are 0-foot candles all along the property borders. And again, for those of you who may not be aware, dark sky LED compliance are the ones with the shield, so the light only directs down to the ground. I have a couple other notes here. I wanted to talk. We did prepare a traffic report, even though we only are a site plan application. It's not a requirement. We're going to see a modest increase in generated traffic from the site. Instead of 21 vehicles in the morning peak hour and 23 vehicles in the afternoon peak hour. The level of, let's go back to the site plan. The level of service in the surrounding intersections is A and B, which is quite good. We're not going to be impacting that or changing that. We did do existing traffic counts throughout the entire area on Barnes Road and on in and out of the site drives. And the site intersections were also analyzed in terms of site distance. We meet all the Connecticut DOT requirements. There is currently a OSTA certificate for the entire industrial park, which we will be seeking an administrative decision from the Connecticut DOT to revise that. So again, we are going through that process currently and hope to have that approval following the approval from this commission. Thorpe Avenue is a single lane in each direction, is stop sign controlled. One thing that I do want to point out, there is an existing traffic signal for the facility. Across the street was formerly the Bristol-Myers Squibb facility. Since that facility has been demolished, the existing traffic signal is in a permanent flashing condition. So until the applicant or the owner of that property comes forth and constructs a new facility, that light is going to remain in that flashing condition. Just wanted to make this board aware. The level of service, again, on that in the vicinity of the site is level of service A, and we're going to be maintaining that throughout the duration of the project and post-construction. So there's no computed change to any level of service at any intersection surrounding the site resulting from the additional traffic due to the proposed expansion of the warehouse facility. All levels of service, delay times, and queue lengths within the industrial park are excellent and are not impacted by the minimal increase in traffic, roadway conditions, so a continued efficient operation of all roadways for site traffic and the general public moving forward. Other than that, I don't have anything else. I just want to quickly, briefly run through the architectural plans. And we have a little note from our architect. So there's two area expansions. Area expansion A is going to consist of a dry goods extension, a garage, a second floor office space. The building currently has a mix of yellow and red exterior colors. We're going to match all the exterior colors and material finishes. There's a low pitch and flat roof EPDM system. There's there'll be new LED lighting, new bathrooms, new stairs and elevator, and it's going to be constructed on a concrete slab. The Area B addition is expansion of the refrigerated cooler section. There's 3 new larger scale coolers and 1 negative 10-degree cooler. There's an enlarged sortation room. There's a new salvage room for pallet storage and waste compactors. It'll consist of prefab insulated concrete panel construction. Again, the finishes will match the existing. Same thing with the flat EPDM roof. There's a potential for solar panels, but they're not proposing it at this time, but they're going to evaluate that post-construction. There'll be new LED lighting, and again, it'll be on a concrete slab.
the existing sprinkler systems, fire pumps, electrical systems, and all other utilities are going to be expanded to meet the new requirements of the building code and the expansion. Apologize, I gave a lot, wanted to give a good level overview of everything. Thank you for listening to us. We appreciate your time. Town staff has been fantastic to work with, so I just wanted to say thank you to Kevin and Sherry, or Cheryl over there, and the rest of the inland wetland staff. So thank you.
At this point in time, that completes your presentation, is that correct?
Correct.
Good. Okay, thank you, sir. Commission members, questions for the applicant? Mr. Rivard.
I guess first I'll say, actually, I really appreciated the comprehensive presentation. I thought you stepped right through everything, and I also really appreciated you taking a few moments for the mission. I mean, as you mentioned, it's unfortunate that that's the situation, but I think we should be proud that we have that partnership here in Wallingford. I think you mentioned, but the one question I had is, you're not going to change the ratings of the traffic, but the traffic was very, very moderate, minor increase.
That's correct.
Even with this expansion.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I think you had an applicant before you said there was like 130-something trips in their application. Ours is currently low 60s, and we're increasing by 20, so we're going to about 81 to 83 trips in the peak hour. So ours is very minimal in the roadway area.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other commission members? Mr. Pacini, any comments on the application?
And I just want to say, got past the complicated variance process. I thought this application was really well put together, and they were very easy to work with. So just wanted to say thanks for that. And yeah, I think they wanted to maybe request potentially lowering the application fee because they are a nonprofit, but that was brought up to me, but I didn't have the ability to do that. So if the commission would like to consider that, that's definitely an option.
I think that's for them to request the commission
Yeah,
at that point in time.
Thank you, Kevin, for bringing that up. On behalf of the applicant, we'd like to formally request a waiver of the application fee. Our client is a nonprofit. It would go a long way just to show the good grace. They're trying to expand your community, and they would just appreciate it if you would consider that. So,
Certainly that's something the commission would consider. I guess my only concern with that would be, and it's for other commission members to, to voice their opinion. We have a lot of nonprofits in town that come before us. Certainly we don't want to single out one and perhaps, not provide that same benefit to another. So I think that, that's something certainly I'm willing for other commission members to comment on, but it creates perhaps a precedent that I'm not sure maybe we do or maybe we don't want to have. But at this point in time, right now, this is not a public hearing, but we do give members of the public the opportunity to comment. Any members of the public would like to comment on the application? Seeing none, I guess I'd just like to kind of build on what Mr. Rivard said. Certainly, I appreciate the background, the information you gave about the good work that your organization does, some of the challenges that it's faced and it certainly will be facing, and how this hopefully will look to address some of that. And clearly this gentleman's presentation was extremely extremely detailed and extremely beneficial for us understanding what's being done at this site. So with that, I guess I would ask the commission members, the applicant had requested, made a request that we waive the application fee. I'm certainly open for suggestions, comments from commission members, how they may feel about that. Mr. Rivard, anybody? Yes, Mr. Allenson, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I'll be the guy. I appreciate everything that you guys do. You guys make a huge difference to the citizens in Connecticut and the kids. I mean, it is life-changing, and you know it. You live it every day. You do wonderful work. Your application was thorough. It was very well done. That being said, I agree with Commissioner Seichter here. Our chairman he hit the nail on the head. If we start down the road with one not-for-profit, we have to do it for all, potentially, and I think that puts us in a slippery slope. So While I would love to help you guys out, I don't know if this is the right way to do it without putting us into a bad position with other applicants.
If I could speak, I'm very comfortable. I don't know, procedurally we can, but I'd be more than happy to withdraw that request. I think I'm very appreciative of you folks listening and supporting us, so.
Thank you, sir. Other commission members? Yeah, Mr. Rivard.
I don't have a lot of history on the commission, but I was just wondering, have we already set the precedent in the past for this? Is this the first such request, or it's my one question?
I don't recall us doing that. Do you, Mr. Pagini?
There's been a couple, maybe not to the extent of what this application fee was, but I believe the last one that was rescinded was for the wineries and possibly one before that, but there's been, I think, 2 or 3. Not sure if they were all nonprofits, though, but something the applicant can request, and they did bring it up to me, so just thought I'd bring up that request.
I guess I'm just kind of curious why we might have done it, and I think that's certainly not looking for an answer this evening, but I would be curious on some of those applications why we in fact did that. But anyway, going back, I guess I would kind of make this somewhat easy as far as the applicant has withdrawn the request. So at this point in time, I think the question is somewhat moot, but I would like just to get a little bit of an insight, because Mr. Rivard, I mean, he makes a very good comment. I certainly wasn't aware that we did that, but I suspect if we did, I probably was involved with it at some point in time. But anyway, at this point in time, the applicant's completed his presentation. We don't have any further comments from commission members or from Mr. Pagini, so at this point, I'd entertain a motion on the application.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve site plan 2 Research Parkway, Connecticut Food Share, application 211-25, site plan approval request to construct a 34,243 square foot addition and additional parking spaces at an existing warehouse facility on plans entitled Proposed Building Expansion dated 5/1/2025 and reviewed to 5/29/2025 with the following conditions of approval. 1, comments from the environmental planner, Aaron O'Hare, dated 7/3/2025. 2, comments from the senior engineer, Tom Flannery, Water and Sewer Division, dated 5/27/2025. 3, comments from the town engineer, Allison Kapuscinski, dated 6/25/2025. 4, comments from the fire marshal office, dated 6/24/2025. 5, excavation permit is required from the Department of Engineering for any work within the right-of-way. 6, operation and maintenance plan or notice of said plan to be filed on Wallingford land records. 7, erosion and sediment control bond in the amount of $12,500. And 8, 6 copies of final plans forward to Planning and Zoning Office.
Do we have a motion on the application? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Fitzsimmons, voting beginning with Mr. Rivard.
Yes.
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 And yes, the application's been approved. Gentlemen, have a good evening.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you very
time. We
much.
appreciate
Really
it.
appreciate it.
All right, it brings us to our next item. It's a site plan approval. It's a Connecticut General Statute 830G Site Plan NextGen Development LLC, 100 South Cherry Street. If Mr. Allenson, if you would please note all correspondence for the record while the applicant begins preparing for their presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have email correspondence from Kevin Pagini to Veton Alimi and Dave Nafis, dated 6/17/2025. We have email correspondence from Kevin Pagini to Dave Nafis, dated 7/1/2025. We have email correspondence to the fire marshal dated July 2nd, 2025. Sorry about that. Email correspondence from Thomas Flannery, the Planning and Zoning Commission, dated July 3rd, 2025, and a set of revised site plans dated July 9th, 2025. And, apologies. We have email correspondence from Allison Kapuscinski to Kevin Pagini, Town Planner, dated July 11th, 2025. And a memorandum from Janice Small, Corporation Counsel, to the Planning and Zoning Commission, dated July 14th, 2025. We also have the final affordability plan dated July blank 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Allenson. At this point in time, if the applicant would please introduce themselves and begin their presentation. And just before we get started, just to be clear, this evening I don't anticipate the Planning and Zoning Commission taking any action on the application, simply because given, and I'm sure you have a copy of the memo that was given to us by our town engineer dated July 11th, and that she indicated she had just received the plans on the 10th and has not had an opportunity to fully review the plan. So just so you're aware, I'm sure you're aware of that, but I just wanted to make that comment right now. So with that, if you gentlemen would please begin your presentation.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Samuel Sargent, Lazarus and Sargent Architects, and tonight we're here to make a presentation for approximately 66 affordable units to be built on the site at 100 South Cherry Street, and that site wraps around and also comes out on Ward Street, as everybody knows. Having driven by it, I'm sure you all have driven by it 100 times. I'm joined tonight by Viton, Anton. Yes, who is one of the partners who own the property. And also, I'm joined tonight by Dave Nafis of Nafis & Young, who is the civil engineer for the project. And I think at this point, I think that Dave should make a presentation. And while he's going to his boards, I'd just like to say that the whole point of this application is to provide for a need in the town of Wallingford for affordable housing. And what we've tried to do is optimize the site to provide those units and provide them within what we believe is the planning and zoning context, as has been discussed on and off with town planner and his staff. And with that, I believe I'll turn it over to Dave. Thank you very much.
Just for the record, my name is David Nafis. I am a licensed professional engineer and land surveyor with Nafis & Young Engineers out of Northford, Connecticut. Just to kind of give you a general overview, obviously, here's Ward Street, South Cherry. This is the Judd Square condominium complex, and this is the actual railroad here. This property, the properties in white are the ones that are not included in this parcel right now. This line, there's a line here that comes like that. That is the separation between the CB40 and the I-40 zones. So there's just this one building would be in the I-40. We have 4 buildings. This building here is 26 units. This building is 20, 14, and then 6. Each of the buildings are divided 50% with 1-bedroom townhouses and 1-bedroom flats, evenly split through all the buildings. For the parking, we've met the parking requirements with 5 handicap parking spaces, even though it's a little bit more. What we can do is, for each of the handicaps, if a handicapped person takes any of these properties, any of the units, we can actually relocate some of those to be in closer access, because with the parking spaces are all evenly, and the ones shown here are actually oversized. So if we only use 3 that really need to be quiet, we actually gain a few more parking spaces. We have a separate parking spot over here where we are housing the dumpsters, mostly just for ease of in and out for trucks, because it'll be easier for a dump truck to come in and out on this side. The way we have the parking lot is off Ward Street is going to be an entrance only because of the way it's set up. The town planner asked that we make this entrance only, so we have, because of the way it's set up between the light and the stop bar being too far back, it causes problems. So it's going to be a one-way out, and then this will be two-way traffic, actually one way in, and then this will be both traffic both ways. You could say I put turning templates on here, and this is for the fire truck. The 41-foot ladder truck can easily navigate through the in and out of the whole property in either direction, so that's not a problem. For stormwater, we've been lucky. The site is all beautiful gravel, sand and gravel, so we are going to put in catch basins at various deep sump catch basins with hoods on them, and they're each going to then go into, and like on one of the plans I could show it, it's not on this one, but each of the sets of the catch basins will then lead to an infiltration system that will handle right up through the 100-year storm. So we're going to be maintaining everything on site because we got beautiful sand on there. So, and then we have the hoods to trap all the oils and floatables and the sediment. So we have a place to clean that out. For the there's not really much room for landscaping, so it's mostly going to be grass, but what we're going to do is wherever there's currently not a fence or anything high, they're going to put a fence in that so car headlights cannot wander off the property and be bothering additional property. So there'll be fences pretty much along the perimeters wherever we need to block out headlights. Let me see, what else do we have here? Zoning standpoint, we're going to 5-foot side yards. We have zero. We don't require anything along the railroad. So we're going to go 5-yard everywhere and then go up to a 8-foot front yard in this area here. The only other thing we can't meet from zoning regulations is one of the coverages on this area because this building takes up pretty much that one small piece. It's all building, so it's like 53% of that property. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. There's very little excavation or export of materials because it's all going to be, it's a pretty flat and the site's pretty much graded as it's going to be. It's very little grading this way or that way. Topsoil may be the only thing they bring on because, like I said, it's all pure sand. The site's going to be all utilities on the site, sanitary, electric, water. It's all here, so we don't have to go anywhere, we don't need any storages. I think I might want to now turn it over to Sam, who can maybe introduce.
Sure, happy to, Dave, and thank you very much for your presentation. Let
me just do one last thing I forgot to add. For traffic, morning peak hours, we're going to have 38 total vehicle trips. 30 of them will be leaving the site. 8 of them will be coming on. In the afternoon, the peak hour will be maximum of 36 vehicles entering and exiting.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dave. Commissioners, again, my name is Samuel Sargent, Lazarus and Sargent Architects. The plan that you see in front of us, actually, I have to say, came out of our office. And we were asked by the owners of this property to generate a high-intensity, very dense site for this use of this property. And what we came up with was actually done in part in conjunction with discussions, early preliminary discussions with town planner Kevin Pagini, and it came out of the whole idea that this site is surrounded by some industrial, but it's primarily adjacent to a large R6 zone. And so we developed the site in the initial schemes around the R6 regulations on the idea that that R6 zone would be extended into this particular site. And so it moved forward in conjunction or in parallel with Kevin's efforts to address not only this site, but multiple sites that occur up and down the rail corridor and Route 5 going as far as the Meriden border. And he had developed this other overlay that has encompassed all those sites and provided an excellent way of dealing with those other sites. However, at that point, we had a design that I believe effectively addressed the need on this particular site, and this is a unique site. It is an isolated site. It is adjacent to the rail line, and it is kind of a leftover piece of property, and this was a real opportunity. There is some commercial uses on the corner of South Cherry and Ward. As you know, there used to be Mutt and Jeff's bar in there, and now that's a multifamily. But what we've tried to do is come up with a design that allows a maximum number of residential units on the site. And what we came up with was 3-story units, and this is a section of one of the facades, and these are typical floor plans for the modules that create these long buildings. And what we have on the first floor is a single-bedroom unit that can be adaptable for handicapped accessibility. They're a Type B unit under the Connecticut State Building Code, and there would be 33 of those, of which 10% have to be accessible. Now, that doesn't mean that there can't be some adjustments as time goes on if the need only comes to the 10% for the remaining units. Now, above those units, above those ground floor units, are townhouse units, and they are 2-level townhouse units, and with most of the, shall we say, the social areas on the second floor, and on the third floor there's 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. And this is a pretty typical construction. You're seeing it in many, many locations. Typically when it's a townhouse, there's usually a garage on the first floor. But what we're trying to do is provide a maximum number of affordable units on this particular site. And this color scheme that we have been playing around with in our office, and you have to excuse the sky. I'm ready to kill my plotter, and we're going to be replacing it soon, and I think it knows it. But what we're trying to do is show you tonight a tone that what we want to do, how we want the buildings to feel when you come on the site. And this one is primarily green and teals, but I think that what will end up happening is the buildings will actually take their own character. And other buildings may not be the teal and green, and even the teal and green may be modulated as we have more time to get the colors to work better. And what we're trying to do is present a very welcoming environment for a highly dense residential unit development that is there just to address a need. One of the things that we tried to do initially was we knew that we had the rail line next to it, and so what we did at very initial stage was we oriented all the buildings east-west so that we could provide sound buffers on the end of the buildings, and the reverberation of the train, which is a common occurrence, it is a fact of life in that site, would be mitigated for the residents of these units. And at this point, there is some discussion about expanding this as more properties are added to the site, and that has been shown to Kevin. I think he's aware of all of that. But at this point, these are the properties that is controlled by the owner, the client, and what they do want to do is move forward, and as time goes on, incorporate other pieces of property into the site to provide additional residential affordable units. And I'm not sure what else I can say except a very dense, but designed to fulfill a need for the town of Wallingford for affordable housing on this particular site. And if there are any questions for either myself or Dave or the owner, please.
Thank you, sir. Comments, questions for the, and I take it, sir, that's the extent of your presentation right now, is that correct? Good, thank you. Commission members with questions, comments for the applicant. Mr. Fitzsimmons.
Just one question, I'm not sure, I didn't see it in the plans I'm looking at. Where is the front door facing Ward Street?
There are no front doors facing Ward Street. We intend to have a buffer.
Let me rephrase the question. So that picture you have, no, the one you have in your right hand, what view would that be?
This view is facing the parking spaces in all areas, and this is that view facing this way, and facing this way, and facing that way. So all of these fronts address this parking area or this parking area here. So the fronts would be across the parking and across the circulation/parking area.
So you've answered my, I guess, the back of the smallest building would be facing Ward.
It would be facing Ward Street,
Okay.
yes.
As I'm sure the town planner has shared with you, we have a regulation that says the front door or the primary entrance must face a roadway. I know it's an 830G, but our regs are the front door should face the road.
I would leave that to the owner of the property to address that question. I know there's been a lot of discussions back and forth with planning and zoning, and this is not a new site design.
Yeah, no, and again, that's why I've been looking for the orientation of the door, thinking.
What we tried to do is allow people to enter the units when they park the car, from the car to the unit.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we kept in mind on the project that we didn't want the back of the building to be on that train line, so that would kind of inconvenience roughly, I would say, and we could have probably gotten more units that way, but it would have been rough for people to their back bedrooms be right on the train line. So we wanted to minimize the amount of units that were impacted by the train line and oriented in the buildings in the way we did.
But I think, and I'm trying to be clear, because I think I'm talking only the smallest building in front, the one right on Ward.
Oh, easy change if we flipped it to the other orientation. Yeah, understood.
Only because that's the frontage. Your other buildings are interior.
Sure.
I don't think they have the doorway requirement, but the front door, I made an issue on a similar application pretty close to this, where the whole side was going to be facing the road. I'm like, no, you got to put a door there.
Yeah.
If you want, it's a front door.
Very easy change we can make to the site plan, so not a problem. We can accommodate that without an issue.
That was easy.
Yeah. Try to be as easy as possible.
There you go. Other commission members? Yes, Mr. Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I went through the packet, a couple of things I noticed were some areas that weren't incomplete and filled out yet, but I suppose since we're likely not to approve tonight, that's things that can be squared away. I did have questions on a couple of things, and with that said, in my initial sense is that this is a great location for the type of housing we're looking to put in. So just recently in May, the town this board went and approved a lot of work that had been put in on middle housing amendments. And I'm wondering if that had been considered as part of this application. It could be that the middle housing might be even more advantageous to what you're trying to do.
So I think us as a team have kind of tried to go that direction early on in the stages of our communication with the town. And I think that there was a few complications in variances and filings and things of that nature that kind of steered us in this direction, just to not extend the project out to a much further date. So I think that was primarily one of the reasons that we ended up going this direction as opposed to, what were the regulations that were just changed as of recent?
It was May.
Yeah, May.
Yeah. So I realize that there's some timing, but it would be great to see something come before us that was moving along with those and considering them.
Yeah, we really tried to work and get that work within your regulations, but I think ultimately we decided to go in a different direction. I mean, we could go back and take a look at it and see what we can do to kind of work within the regulation. But as far as today's application, I only think there's one or two regulations that we don't meet: the front yard, side yard, and then the only other complication would be a zone change for that commercial zone on the rear, the Judd Square portion, which all I'm sure can be done through variances and zone change requests. But again, we're looking at timing on this project. That's our biggest kind of enemy. So.
Thanks for the answer. I would love to see something that considers the middle housing if the timing can work.
Sure.
One of the things that I wanted to kind of hone in on, the introductory paragraph notes that just over 30% of the units will meet the criteria for affordable housing, and I want to pick out the just over 30%. How many units have to be set aside to meet 30%?
I believe it is 18 or 20.
There's a total of 66 units, and I think if you multiply that by 0.3, that is somewhere around 19 units.
I'm a math guy. It's going to be 20.
20. That's
It's
what I
going to be
thought.
what you put in
20,
for. 19
yeah.
falls below. So I would encourage you to go beyond. Maybe set aside more units because we do need more. So I wouldn't, to pick on the word just over 30, we would love to see it be over 30. That makes sense. To be fair, the 20 is meeting the requirement. It's not over it.
Sure. So just to piggyback on what you're saying here is our intention is to kind of purchase and acquire the remaining parcels on the property and expand the development on the property. So I think that minimum requirement is just a placeholder for the actual total amount of units that are going to be developed in the future as the dominoes fall. But I think on the site there should be roughly, if we're looking at totals of Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, which obviously there's going to be applications in front of you for that. Again, as these kind of dominoes fall, we'll probably have a right around 100 or 105 total units here. And I think at that point we can come up on the amount of affordable units that there are on site. So.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Other commission members? Just a couple comments just on your plans.
Sure.
I noticed on, I guess it's 100 Cherry Street, which you don't own. And on your plans, you had that there's a garage there that's going to be raised. I suspect that probably should have been taken off the plans if you were.
Where are you referring to?
Yeah, right there. Yeah, if you look at
This site is actually addressed at 110 South Cherry.
110.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it would
But
be...
no, I understand that. So that site, 110, that site on the plans I have show that there's a garage that's going to be raised, but that's not your site. So the people who own that property are going to raise that garage?
I think it's fair to say...
I think what that was the original plan
Okay.
came in, that was, we were going to take that portion of the property.
No, I understand that, but
So I
the
think-
most
yeah.
recent plans
So I
have that
think
still on
it was on there, so I think we just have to take it off.
Oh,
It was
okay, so
probably
that was something that.
just a drafting
it should
error, I
be-
imagine.
Okay, so that should be taken off on that. Okay. As far as now on the properties that you don't own, what's the height of the fences that are going to be around those properties that you don't own?
Well, some of them have like some 6 to 8 foot fences, so we are looking to do something similar on that height with vinyl, so we can, that would be boarded together, so there would be no light penetrating between them.
Okay. So I guess what you're saying, the minimum height or the height would be 8 foot, is that correct? Was that fair to say? So there's some consistency?
Sure.
Okay, all right. I mean, looking at you were going to, Mr. Sargent?
No, I just wanted to comment that the client, the owner of this property, has been in negotiations with almost all of the adjacent property owners. And to be honest, the property line is a point in time, a set point here, and they expect.
If you could, your microphone, we have the bell ringing for you. It means you can't be heard.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Maybe I can just speak up.
You have to just bring it closer to you.
Okay, that's it. Oh, yeah.
Take it. You don't do karaoke,
Thank you very
right?
much. But I guess the point I was going to make is that this property here, and I know it needs to be isolated from the adjacent property to the north of it to provide privacy. But what we're doing is we're showing you a point in time, and I know you want to protect that property owner, and that's one of the reasons that I'm saying that a lot of these barriers have not been detailed at this point and will be detailed.
Okay. As far as, when I'm looking at the plan, I guess I kind of concur with commission members. I think this is certainly a site that's had its issues or lack of issues for quite some time. The part that's by the railroad tracks, that's been vacant for a while. I'm not sure if the building is being torn down. Was that an old American Legion building or something? I believe. So certainly what you're looking to do is to...
in here.
Yeah, right there, to improve it. And I'm very familiar with the site. I grew up at 119 South Cherry Street, so that's just right on the corner, right across. So this site certainly needs some tender loving care, especially a portion of the property that's closest to the railroad tracks. So, this is something that I'm certainly think would be a benefit. I obviously want to hear the comments from our engineering department as far as how they view this. Also, I know that looking at it, there's not a heck of a lot of green space there. I'd certainly like to see your landscape plan, and if there's not much in the way of green space, if that could be looked to be expanded a bit. But again, that's something for next meeting to discuss.
I just wanted to make a final comment, if I could, to address the question that was raised by the commission. Mr. Sanders, I believe, and that was moving forward with the housing zoning regulations that town planner and his staff have developed. Basically, we were kind of caught in the middle, and it's arguable to say that this particular development actually triggered the institution of those regulations. And so while my client is trying to move ahead with the project, keep it economically viable, he's dealing in a world of flux, and at some point he felt that this was a simpler way to adjust going forward. But we did make a real attempt to meet the new regulations.
No, I appreciate that. Again, as far as with the middle housing regulations, I'm not sure if you'd be able to do more with or without it, but clearly the middle housing regulations don't take into consideration the affordable housing. So, while we'd certainly like to see more middle housing, I think we'd also certainly like to see more affordable housing. And this certainly provides the affordable housing. Just looking at your affordable housing plan, though, I noticed that you had the breakout for the cost and what the rent would be, or the maximum you could charge for the one bedroom. I think what you need to include in your affordable housing plan is also the 2-bedroom calculation to put into that. So I think you need.
I thought that was in there, but if it wasn't, we'll make
Yeah,
sure to add that.
I didn't see it, maybe, I didn't see it, but if you would just check that again and make sure that that's included. But at this point in time, if there's no other commission members that'd like to make any comments, Mr. Pagini, comments that you'd like to make?
No, that was my only question, was I think, yeah, 2 bedrooms were mentioned, I think, in the original plan, and then in this one, there was no mention of 2 bedrooms, so if that could just be clarified.
Sure. And again, this is, it's not a public hearing. Any members of the public would like to comment on the application at this point in time, please come forward with your name and address.
I'm Representative Mary Mashinsky. I live nearby, 188 South Cherry Street, and I'm also a member of Wallingford Works for, what is the name of our group? Wallingford Works for Housing? Yes, that is the name of the group. And I think, Mr. Chairman, you're a member of the group, too. At least you've been to some of the meetings.
I've been to some of the meetings.
Yes. So you know better than anybody that we really need buildings like this, especially in the density areas. And I'm very pleased that the commission has been responsive to the need for housing. And you have already made some major changes in town zoning to make this happen more readily. So it's really wonderful progress. This particular application is also very good progress. I hope the soundproofing is really good because people already are complaining who live in the other housing at Judd Square. Regularly they complain about the train. So hopefully this building is very well soundproofed at the train side. But it's really wonderful that the application has come in. Very happy about it, and very happy that the commission has been so responsive on this issue. So thank you very much.
Thank you. At this point in time, if there's no final comments from the applicant on the application, we're going to, as I mentioned at the beginning of this, we're going to continue it to our August meeting. So if you gentlemen have any final comments you'd like to make? Good.
Thank you very much.
At this point in time, I've entertained a motion to continue this application to our August meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we continue the meeting for our site plan meeting for Connecticut General Statute 8-30G, site plan NextGen Development LLC, 100 South Cherry Street, application 210-25.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second on the motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Fitzsimmons. Voting beginning with Mr. Rivard, please.
Yes.
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 And yes, we'll see you gentlemen next month.
Thank you very
so
much.
Thank you. Okay, our next item is executive session. I'd like to go into executive session. For an executive session, I see Attorney Small over there smiling at me. Pursuant to General Statutes 1-225F, 1200, 6B, and 1-1210B, 10, to discuss pending litigation in the matter of Sunwood Development Corporation, Planning and Zoning Commission. Do I have a motion to go into an executive session?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we go into executive session pursuant to General Statute 1-225F, General Statute 1-2006B, and General Statute 1-210B10 to discuss pending litigation in the matter of Sunwood Development Corporation versus Planning and Zoning Commission.
Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Mr. Fitzsimmons. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And at this point in time, I'd like the Sergeant of Arms to clear the auditorium for us. At this point in time, I'd like to entertain a motion that the Planning and Zoning Commission comes out of executive session.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that the Wallingford Planning and Zoning Commission comes out of executive session.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Fitzsimmons. Voting beginning with Mr. Rivard, please.
Yes.
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 And yes, at this point in time, I'd like to continue with our agenda. So, yeah, agenda number 6, item number 6, rather, is a public discussion sign permit fee.
So I will make this quick. As you all know, we just passed new sign regulations. Those sign regulations don't require a fee for each refacing, because we're...
For what kind?
For the refacing of each sign now, since we removed the content aspect of it. So applicants no longer have to come back if they're refacing an existing sign. So we would like to double the permit fee to $200 for account for some of the lost revenue, because the majority of our sign permits were refacing fees. So the zoning enforcement officer has suggested that that fee goes up to $200. That will cover anything for a new sign, or if they're changing an existing sign size-wise. And yeah, it would be less applications, as they wouldn't be coming back, but it would be a larger one-time fee. So something to think about, but you don't have to make a decision now on it, but just wanted to discuss it.
All right, does anybody have any comments right now on this? Yes, Mr. Rivard.
Just a question. If we didn't enact the doubling of the sign fee, do we have an estimate of how much revenue we might lose on an annual basis?
It's quite a bit. I'd say her estimate was it was roughly probably 75% of the applications that we get were refacing applications. So I don't know how many of those we get per year. We could probably have her add up the numbers and see what we can come up with.
Yeah, that'd be fine. And then we can at least assess what the impact is.
Anyone else?
Just how does this compare to some of the surrounding towns?
We're relatively in line, I'd say. For a new permit, some towns charge for everything that you do to a sign, whether it's like a new owner, I'd have to look probably and see, but we weren't too far out of the ballpark for other towns.
All right, if you would do that, and also sometimes it's late in the evening, and I'm a little slow on the uptake here. But if you would, for what you had mentioned to us, would you just put that more in a memo so I could kind of understand exactly what you're saying? I certainly appreciate that.
Sure.
With that, moving on. If you take us through the rest of the agenda, reports of officers.
Administrative approvals. Any questions on those?
Anyone? Seeing none?
ZBA June decisions or ZBA notice for July 21st?
Anyone with any of questions, comments on any of those items? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we adjourn the Wallingford Planning and Zoning Commission for Monday, July 14th.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Fitzsimmons. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? We're adjourned. Thank you very much.